So, hi everyone, and welcome to today's webcast, AWS reInvent 2021 Key Themes. My name is Maria Pinilla. I am a BI and analytics consultant here at Thorogood. And today I will be sharing with you some insights into one of the biggest conferences in the cloud and data space. But first, for those of you who don't know us, a quick intro to Thorogood. So Thorogood is a global technology agnostic consultancy, and we specialize in all things data. So ranging from data engineering to science and data visualization. And we have offices all across the locations listed on the slide and covering virtually all corners from America to Asia. And our expertise also spans application design and development to training and adoption. Apart from specializing in this kind of services that we provide to our clients, we also run a series of webcasts and educational events to share our knowledge in the space and also help support you and your organization navigate digital transformation. But something important to pick up on what I just said is the technology agnostic bit. And by that, I mean that we partner with a wide array of key industry leaders just so that we are able to craft the best and most suited solution to our clients' problems. And one such key partner for us is AWS, with whom we have been partnering, working together since 2017. And our expertise with the technology, again, is quite varied. We have helped our clients across a variety of challenges, such as migrating their existing workloads to the cloud, setting up an agile infrastructure with DevOps, or for example, crafting a cloud adoption roadmap to enable them to make the most out of their systems with well-architected workloads. So for those of you who are not familiar with AWS reInvent, it is one of the biggest and most important events in the data landscape. And it's just an event or a conference to zero in on key learnings for the global cloud community, and most importantly, help AWS customers take advantage of the new and upgraded offerings that the company has come up with. But the key difference this year was volume and scale. So the event was back to being played both on-site and virtually. And it was also a milestone one because they were celebrating 10 years of the event being run. But as usual, the week-long conference left attendees and anyone in the data space with a lot of new features and additions to actually digest. So if you missed attending, you can always rewatch keynotes available on AWS's website. But I hope that today in this webcast will make it easy enough for you to get a taste of what went down, and also that we will be able to share the key takeaways and themes, as well as our perspective and experience in working with and making the most of AWS. So in this quick recap, I would like to focus on four major buckets. And basically what we have done is summarize all of the updates that AWS had or shared during the conference into these four main, as I say, buckets. So starting with machine learning, moving on to data storage, to then talk about networks and communication infrastructure, and we'll be closing with updates on sustainability. But something that's shown through during the whole week was AWS's appetite to keep on being the best of the best, and most importantly, help companies democratize access to even the most advanced of data practices. In beginning with machine learning, that message was particularly strong. And when we talk about ML and MLOps in the AWS context, we need to talk about SageMaker. And AWS reInvent 2021 makes sure to dedicate the well-deserved time and space to the various enhancements to the offering. And today we will be highlighting four of them, beginning with Amazon SageMaker Studio Lab, then serverless inference recommender, and Amazon SageMaker Canvas. Thorogood, we have vast experience in helping our clients enjoy the benefits of machine learning and advanced analytics. And as we say, there is no question on the when or why to adopt ML and bring it to the mainstream of decision making. It is rather a question about the how. And as shared during our MLOps series, and I have included here a QR code in case you would like to check any of the webcasts that we run during last summer. Basically, the message that we shared there and that we still keep on sharing is that any successful ML deployment begins with a deep understanding of the skills, the people, and the processes that exist in an organization, as well as a strong embrace of ML experimentation. However, it is often the case that a big barrier to entry to this ML experimentation and to starting to enjoy the benefits of embedding ML in decision making is actually the lack of required skills, or the fact that existing machine learning environments are too complex for beginners or too limited to support modern ML experimentation. And beginners really want to just quickly, start learning and not worry about spinning up infrastructure, configuring services, or implementing billing alarms to avoid going over budget. And for that, SageMaker Studio Lab has been introduced as part of AWS Reinvent 2021 as a free service to learn and experiment with machine learning based on open source Jupyter Lab. So it provides the compute, up to 15 GB of storage, and the security for anyone to learn and experiment with ML. And really, all you need to do is just get a valid email address. You don't even need to configure any underlying infrastructure, manage identity or access. You don't even need an AWS account. SageMaker Studio Lab would accelerate model building through GitHub integration, and it comes pre-configured with the most popular ML tools, frameworks, and libraries so that you can actually get started immediately and start reaping that value almost immediately. It also automatically saves your work, so you don't need to restart in between sessions, and it's as easy as closing your laptop and coming back later. And a step forward in this same direction of, as I say, democratizing access to ML is SageMaker Canvas, one of the other 4 offerings that we said we were going to talk about today. And SageMaker Canvas is designed for people that have virtually no understanding of data science. And this is quite key because with SageMaker Canvas, users can actually get in and get valuable insights out of data. And as an organization facing business problems and dealing with data on a daily basis, the ability to build systems that can predict business outcomes becomes very important. But as we mentioned, the availability of skills, organizational processes, and a right sync up between business, engineering, and science teams are all key pillars of the successful adoption of ML and MLOps. But sometimes that is in itself one of the biggest barriers to entry, more than the lack of appropriate infrastructure. So how do you make sure that all the teams and individual decision makers in the organization are actually empowered to create these machine learning models at scales and without depending on each other? Well, with SageMaker Canvas, you would be able to leverage the same technology as the standard SageMaker offering, but you would have the opportunity to automatically clean, combine in your data, browse and access different data sources, combine data sets, all within the click of a button and just dragging and dropping. So then you should be able to generate new predictions once the data is available. And as I say, it's just a very, very easy and intuitive user experience that overall fuels the exploration, that we need to actually determine whether we're looking at the right use case for ML, whether we are applying the right models or we're asking the right questions for the set of data that we have available, so that then we can actually start productionizing those machine learning models, overall doing so by breaking with the dependencies of business teams on engineering and scientists. So just in a nutshell, we are accelerating the time to value by letting the people with the questions simply ask them. So that in itself is a lot and quite revolutionary, but continuing on this line of surfacing the value of ML, regardless of current infrastructure, of skills, of even data present in your company, we have SageMaker Serverless Inference. And this new addition to the stack of SageMaker products allows organizations to completely do away with instances and opt for a serverless model of cloud infrastructure. So here the technology is completely transparent and users simply pay according to the amount of data that is processed. So this is great, for example, for applications with intermittent traffic, so that you don't need to have a constant computing node running in the background. And as ML becomes more popularized and more widely adopted, different and more varied use cases arise, and with them, different varied needs for the infrastructure to support them as well. So that's why I say this is a very good offering for applications with intermittent traffic. But what we see happening as well is that most of the time, maybe we are not setting up our infrastructure correctly to support the kind of ML or any other analytics experimentation that we're working on. That's when SageMaker Inference Recommender comes in as well. So with SageMaker Inference Recommender, you can actually automate load testing, optimize model performance, and reduce the time to get models from development to production. And for that, till now, no service has really provided MLOps engineers with the means to pick optimal ML instances to optimize costs and maximize the instance utilization. As I say, like given the vast array of ML instances available and the practically infinite nuances of each model, choosing the right instance type could take more than a few attempts to get it right. But with this offering, Inference Recommender, MLOps engineers can actually get recommendations for the best available instance type to run the model. And once that has been selected, the model can be instantly deployed into the selected instance, only with a few clicks. So for engineers who want to get data on how their model will perform ahead of pushing it to the production environment, this is one of the best offerings that AWS has out right now, because that means that you can run a load test against the model in a simulated environment. And ahead of deployment, you can also play around with like specifying different parameters. For example, play around with different volumes of data, latency constraints, and overall just test their model against those constraints so that you can gather all of the data possible on how the model will perform in the real world, and thereby enabling them to feel confident ahead of pushing it to production, or also highlighting potential issues that must be addressed before putting it out there in the real world. Overall, with this different updates that Amazon has brought to the public with regards to SageMaker, we can see that the dominant theme was the willingness, really, and the plan that AWS has to train a new generation of data and AI experts for careers in the industry. But overall, just above all, making ML more accessible to everyone to create a more diverse and inclusive tech workforce. And as I said, starting to break the barriers or this very strong dependencies in between the different teams in an organization, so that, as we said earlier, the people with the questions can actually start asking them, and the people that can provide the answers to the questions or model them in the appropriate scale for the business problem can actually do so more quickly and reducing the time to value substantially. But that message does not end there, because AWS, and I wanted to highlight this as well, because it goes to show, right, like really the intent and how, I guess, like how well they're planning things. But Siva Subramanian, who is like the lead for SageMaker really within AWS, wrapped up his 2021 keynote by announcing the launch of a new AWS AI and ML scholarship program. And this will award $10 million USD per year in scholarships to underrepresented students for careers in machine learning. So this will overall include 2,000 scholarships per year to the Udacity AI Nano degree course and 500 mentorship opportunities with tenured ML Amazon experts. So that is an ambitious plan right there, and a great one to see as well, you know, making us all part of the advances that digital transformation brings to society. And with that, I wanted to close the bucket of machine learning and now move to talk about storage. But there's always, as it happens, right, with AWS and with any technology provider really that we work with, there is an intersection in between science and engineering, a very big codependency, and an AWS that is crowned by Redshift, which is AWS's data warehouse star, really. And an event that we run last November here at Thorogood, we went into the full details of lakehouses and how different providers like AWS are bridging the gap between the storage requirement for traditional and advanced analytics. And that is done by Redshift at AWS. And the key part is that it uses SQL to analyze structured and semi-structured data across, say, data warehouses, operational databases, and data lakes. But the company is now announcing AWS Redshift serverless. And serverless is the word that right now is right there, like out there. It's the buzzword, is the ability for you to run workloads, to, as we said just now, like test your models without having to depend on your own instances or in your own computing services. So with AWS Redshift Serverless, you can have on-demand analytics on AWS. And this will enable customers to use data analytics, as I say, without worrying about provisioning and scaling, without worrying about the provisioning and scaling mechanics involved with capacity planning and management. So no need to set up and manage clusters, none. You pay for the duration in seconds when your data warehouse is in use. And furthermore, it would also automatically provision the right compute resources for you to get started. And as your demand evolves with more concurrent users and workloads, more data, your data warehouse scales seamlessly and automatically to adapt to the changes and the challenges. And AWS says it is seeing the use of data analytics expanding among new audiences within organizations, as we said, such as business analysts who necessarily don't have the expertise or the time to manage a traditional warehouse. And also we see some customers as well have variable workloads with unpredictable spikes, and it can be very difficult for them to constantly manage capacity. So AWS Redshift Serverless may come in handy for a few, actually. But on the intersection of storage and science, as I say, we also have DevOps Guru for RDS, which is the same as relational database service. And this is just a tool for automating the diagnosing and fixing of problems with databases. In a nutshell, what it does is it helps developers have enough information to determine the exact cause for a database performance issue. And it does so by using ML, and it automatically identifies and analyzes a wide range of performance-related database issues, such as overutilization of host resources or misbehavior of SQL queries. And it doesn't only stop there, but it goes one step further and it recommends solutions to remedy the issues it finds as well. And again, to use this capability, you don't need to be a database or an ML expert. So on the RDS topic, we have RDS Custom for SQL Server. And this is quite an interesting one because we do see still a lot of people making the jump from their on-premises instances or servers to AWS or to the cloud in general, or are opting for hybrid cloud options. But however, in doing that, many in the past have often been forced to run self-managed databases on EC2, for example, here when we talk about AWS, due to the need of the application to have access to underlying operating systems in a database environment. But with the release of RDS Custom SQL Server, those customers can now take advantage of the full benefits of RDS and in the process reduce the operational overhead. Because what it does is it automates setup, operation, and the scaling of databases in the cloud. Also grants access to the database and underlying operating system to configure settings and enable native features to meet, like whatever requirements the application may have. So overall, with this, you can customize your database, your server host, and your operating system, and change software settings to support third-party applications, and all through just saving time and enjoying the benefits of the managed server. And last but not least, we have S3. So S3 is the famous bucket for Amazon, and now has an additional layer called S3 Glacier Retrieval, which would intelligently and automatically tier objects on your S3 bucket based on access. So only used objects are actually accessible on S3, and this reduces cost significantly and provides 99% availability of your data within milliseconds. Moving on to the communication infrastructure and network bucket, the most talked about development, ones that we have seen everywhere since it got announced, was the announcement of private 5G. So with this, Amazon plans on packing up basically everything that organizations need to deploy 5G. And this might be very interesting and coming quite handy for organizations that are looking to do a lot of IoT work, where sometimes there are so many sensors that traditional communication methods are ideal. And this is pretty much going to be a game-changing service for them. And many companies as well have experience deploying Wi-Fi infrastructure, but cellular implementations might be a bit of a stretch, and private 5G would allow these customers of AWS to replace all of their existing Wi-Fi networks with 5G cellular-based networks that would be entirely managed by AWS, overall letting them to take advantage of advanced 5G services on an accelerated timeline. And another development in this space is the launch of a managed wide area network that will make it faster and easier for enterprises to build, manage, and monitor a unified global network that seamlessly connects cloud and on-premises data center environments. So with AWS Cloud One, or users would be able to get a central dashboard the company that to use to connect their on-premises branch offices, data centers, Amazon virtual private clouds across the whole AWS global network in just a few clicks. So overall, not only providing you easy access and overview of all of your networks, but allowing you to connect them in one same place. And finally, so the AWS well-architected framework has been helping AWS customers improve their cloud architecture since 2015, and it consists of design principles, questions, and best practices across multiple pillars. And I have just put them in here on the screen. Overall, and since then, AWS has always been quite keen on ensuring that any workload that is run on their cloud meets these criteria so that it is operationally excellent, it's secure, it's reliable, it's cost optimized, and of course, it's efficient in its performance. But the new pillar right now, and this is a very big statement from AWS, is sustainability. And the sustainability pillar will focus on minimizing the environmental impact of running cloud workloads. So similar to the other pillars, it will include questions aimed at evaluating the design, the architecture, the implementation of your workloads, but with the aim of reducing energy consumption and improve their efficiency. It's important to note the distinction that AWS is responsible for the sustainability of the cloud, while customers are responsible for sustainability in the cloud. So AWS is concerned providing compute resources that are reduced in energy use that come from sustainable sources, which already just by it being a shared offering in the cloud would reduce energy consumption by 80% if we compare it with traditional on-premises private deployments. And this is possible because of the much higher server utilization and efficiency of their custom data center designs. But when it comes to the customer side of things, that's why the sustainability pillar has been implemented now, so that we can ensure that, okay, you're being provided with resources that have been designed in a way to care for the environment, to be more mindful about how we consume our resources. But also now you also have a task to ensure that you yourself are taking the right steps in continuing that sustainability aim. So I have just included here on the screen kind of like the 6 main areas against which AWS would assess this competency for any workload that is being run in their cloud. And at Thorogood, we have helped a wide number of clients not only assess, as I say, the impact of their cloud infrastructure, so how sustainable overall like they are and how many resources they consumed, but also the wider influence of their overall system. So we have experience in helping our clients both achieve their sustainability goals by building applications that would surface actions that they need to take to become sustainable, while at the same time designing them in a way that are making those applications sustainable in themselves. And with that, we conclude the main key takeaways that we had for today. And throughout the webcast, we have been mentioning how AWS's ambition is to bring data practices to the mainstream of decision making, and most importantly, democratize access to complex or advanced areas of expertise such as ML. But we have also just highlighted now how sustainability is one of the main pillars that underpin every activity at AWS, and that the company will be pushing everyone to adhere to when using the platform. And as I said, and as I have been mentioning on that, we have vast expertise too. So whether you are looking to move to the cloud, you want to understand a bit more about how AWS might fit in your organization, if you already have AWS and you want to make the most of it, or are just in general conscious about the impact that your workbooks or your organizational data activities would have, and would like to understand how to efficiently consume resources, please do feel free to reach out. I have also included here on the slides a snip of one of our two major AWS events, which are AWS Tasters, and these are Thorogood, completely designed and run. We do one for data engineering and one for data science, and they are half-a-day workshops. So you will, if you join, you will be run through a series of exercises and presentations by our AWS team of consultants. Also, I have put on the screen a link to our perspectives page where you can find more webcasts like this, white papers, blog articles, and case studies. All of our AWS knowledge, almost all of our AWS knowledge is in there. And I have also included a few QR codes here for you to directly access some of our case studies and webcasts on this topic. So that is all that I had for you today. It has been a pleasure to spend this time with you today, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you very much for joining.